demonstrating over here.
You should demonstrate there,
Right.
just like as if you were running your own class.
And then come over here and you're doing the poses over there. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Bring it back now. You want to get them set up first, or you want to just start going?
Okay, so we're gonna stand in this circle, or in this space of a circle over here, so that the camera can catch the poses. I'll call the pose out. I'll demonstrate the pose, and then I'll ask you to set yourself here in that space and do the best variation as you can. And we do things on one side, so this is the right side to begin, and then from that side we'll drop down to neutral position and then come into the second side. Okay. It's a very progressive thing in the class. There's no expectation. Please do not have expectation.
You already should probably get your ear done.
I was thinking, so, is it a crash scan outside?
Just inside
the
the
bathrooms.
Yeah. Second hall door.
So I guess one of those things.
I hate to have somebody start hacking the class.
Well, it's everything, man. This, you're committing this to video, and you're going to keep this for posterity. This is now your first teaching video, which will live with you forever.
This guy's been doing it since 2005. He videos all his practices.
All your practices?
All practices.
Wow.
He's just
Sort of just cheap. Wow, man.
last night.
Great. Okay, I'm going to start it rolling if you're ready. Here we go.
Alright, so please come into the center and watch me as I demonstrate the first pose in this sequence. Vrikshasana. Vrik is the tree in Hindu, and there's also another element to the pose of Vrik. If you think about a tree, it's always seeking an uprightness. Even a bent tree has a need to find uprightness. So the pose is meant to be an upright, standing, and also a balancing pose. I start from a neutral standing position with my hands at my sides. I pick my foot up from the right side first. I slightly bring that heel up to touch the left inner ankle. And then I bring that foot up to where I can reach my hand and bring that foot somewhere above the knee, not on the joint itself, as this is a vulnerable place, but above the knee, or if that's not accessible to somewhere below the knee, turning the thigh from inside out. Do not collapse the standing leg. The standing leg is the uprightness of the pose. Yes? So from there, or up here, begin to turn this leg inside out and find the stability of the standing leg. Balance with the hands at the sides, and then eventually bring the hands out. To release, bring the right hand down and the left hand on the hip. Allow that foot to come out and unfold and come back to the position to begin standing. And then, so Art, Todd, and Janard, please stand in a line. Bring your feet together, hips width, and then step the right foot into the left foot, together to Tadasana pose, as we say. Turn that right foot out to touch the inner left ankle. Yes? Then bring that foot up and reach down with your right hand to grab the shin of the bent leg. Bring that heel, that foot, somewhere above the knee. Find the balance there. there. Turn that thigh from inside out as you balance the hands at the sides. Steady yourself with the standing leg. Find that rightness, straighten that leg, bringing the kneecap up to the thigh. Keep the eyes above and at the horizon. Find a spot in front of you to steady your gaze, to find your steadiness in the pose. And then as you find your hands out to your sides and your balance, bring the hands higher up. Reach out like a tree, finding its uprightness. Keep the breath. Keep the steadiness. Good. Then bring the hands down to the waist and unload that one hand, that one foot. Bring it back down to the original standing position. Steady yourself again. Steady your breath, your gaze. So the second side is similar, but we now have the ability to intelligize one side. So the right side has something to teach us from that midline body. In that same fashion, stand with your feet together, one to the other. And with that uprightness, now turn the left foot out and touch the ankle with the heel. Bring that foot up to where you can reach the hand, and bring that foot as far up to the perineum, this base of the spine, in the front of the pelvis. And steady yourself in the standing leg with a strength, with a muscular strength in the architecture of the pose. So the tree has its base, you have your base, and grow up through that length of the leg. Turn the thighs from inside out, hands to the side, bring them up now as you balance steadily on that one foot. If you come out, just find your balance again and come at it one more time. So the coming in has an ability to inform the pose as well as the coming out. Bring the hands back down to the waist, grab the elevated foot ankle, and release the foot down. And then steady yourself one more time. For this next pose, you're going to need a mat. So please, each of you, stagger your mats in the same direction as the floorboards here, and pull them out wide. You will also need a set of 2 blocks. In line generally with the floorboards, so this direction, parallel. So when I do the demonstrations, I should also note that as I'm opposite you, I'm trying to mirror you. You will always be starting the pose to the right. But as I do this firstly, I'll show you where the blocks should be here on the back edge of the mat. One for the right, one for the left, but we'll be going to your right first. So watch closely as I demonstrate the pose. And I'm going to use the front edge of the mat as a guideline, or a measuring stick. The body is also a measuring stick, as our arms are our length and our torso or lower body, our legs are its length as well. So we use those as an extension. Utthita Trikonasana is Utthita is side. It's an extension. So this is an extended side triangle pose in Utthita Trikonasana. I slightly bend the legs, bring the fingertips up towards the chin, release the buttocks down, and spring the feet wide. Now the back foot, this left foot here on you, will turn in 40 degrees. Yes? And then you'll bring the toes and the foot up off the floor on the right side. So you can see my foot is elevated here, and it pivots along the heel, or on the heel, to 90 degrees, or parallel with the line of the mat. And the reason I'm using the front of the mat specifically is for you, because there's an alignment here of this heel directed at the center of that back arch of the left foot. Yes? So the arms here are extended, the extended triangle. And from here, I turn this front leg from inside out, extend the big toe to what we'll call the alley of the room. Yes, we'll call this the side alley of the room. So I'm extending that big toe. I reach both arms as Utthita, extended, as I come down and place my block just behind my heel. That's coming into the pose. Reestablish your contact with the mat, with the feet to the mat, I should say, and extend the arms. To come out, I really reach through the back leg and back upper left arm, lifting myself out, bringing and turning my foot in. In terms of what we call parallel, the feet, the big toes come to a parallel after the pose, and then we'll come to the second side, setting the feet again. For now, please line up in the center of your mat, and that when you jump wide, you'll miss the blocks, preferably. Good? Now, slightly bend the knees. Find your base, bring your fingertips up to your chin. And extended side, jump out, jump wide, jump the feet, take the arms out. Arms, palms are facing down, yes? And then the feet are parallel at this point. So, yes? Janardan, if you could slightly turn those feet like you just had, and heel toe the feet apart, just so you're a little wider in your stance. So the side angle, or the extension has to be, the heels are turning out as well. Yeah? So it's just one more evolution of your width. Good. Now, turn that back left foot in slightly. In is the 40-degree angle I was trying to get you to observe on my back foot. Then lift the right foot, toes up, and pivot from that inside leg to that outside to 90 degrees. And observe, did I keep the line of that front heel and that back arch so that the alignment is in the body now? Good. Then turn the legs from inside out, root into the floor to establish that base of the triangles. So there's multiple angles in a triangle in this triangle. Ground through that back left foot, reach through that back left arm, and come out over the right side. Come out over the right side. Find your block just behind your heel. Then reestablish the legs from the back side. The back left heel. And reach to straighten that leg. Slide your right foot out a little more, Jerry. A little further. And keep turning from the inside of that front leg to the outside, bringing the right buttock to the front. Right buttock to the front. So there's a spiraling of the leg inside out as you're turning the flesh and gripping the muscularity to the bone to drive that buttock forward. Reach through the back left heel, reach up to the ceiling with the left arm, and pull yourself out with an inhale. Pull yourself out with an inhale, turn the feet to face the front of the room so that the front, or the big toes are slightly turned in parallel, correct? Place your hands on your hips of the pelvis. Steady your gaze. Go into the feeling part of the body, not simply the physical, but the spatial part of the body that lets you intelligize what happened on this first side. And then bring that into the second side of the left now. So slow down, please, Jordan. Stay with the class here for a moment. You're turning to the opposite direction now. You're going to the left. So bring the right foot in to 40 degrees. Turn it slightly in and try to get it up. Here, let me come out of the pose for a moment. Let me make a finer point here, because you're all doing really well in the general shape of the pose. But one thing I should demonstrate here that I didn't do on the first side was I'm taking the alignment in the pose. I'm bringing this back leg in. And, you know, as I turn this front leg, I've lost some contact with the back leg. So it's important that I intelligize this hip as well. You know, it's not a one-sided triangle necessarily, but we're using both sides of this triangle to stabilize the lower body. So try and muscularize this puttock as well as you turn this foot in. And you do this. So start from Tadasana. Feet together. Bring the fingertips up to the chin. Jump wide. Extend. Extend into the pose. Now take that right back foot. Turn it in from that hip joint. Then pivot on the left heel as you lift the toes up. Yes, good. If it doesn't come the first time, yes, the width is coming here. So, you know, make sure that your block is there where your ankle is when you come down. Extend from the back right fingertip, middle finger long, root into that back right heel. Extend out over your left foot. Extend out over your left foot. Go out and bring the hand to the block. Try to maintain the extension of the original jump so that the left raised, or the right raised fingertip is reaching, searching in that intelligence that lets you feel the pose, the stability of the triangle. Turn the left leg from inside out, from the flesh, from the inner groin leg. Drive that buttock into the hip joint, hip socket. Lift with that middle finger of the right arm. Inhale and come up from the pose. Turn the right foot and the left foot parallel. Bring the hands down to the waist. Pause there for a moment. So the extended is also a widening of the body. You know, there's a width in these poses as we come back to center from the right and the left. And that's the evolution of the pose. Then bring the feet together, jump or hop. The feet together. Right, so the next pose is going to be done here at this wall. You'll line up your mats perpendicular to this wall. Grill is not really in the way, but I'll demonstrate how this can be done. There's a series of standing poses named after the warrior Virabhadra, and they're Virabhadrasana. You know, it's made from a long story about Shiva pulling out one of his hairs to raise an army. And the first in that is Virabhadrasana 1. So here, bring your fingertips, get a sense of where the wall is, and bring your heels up that wall. So you're pressing up into the pose here. Come out, bring the hands to this ilium at the top of the pelvis. And then slightly bend the knees and hop the right foot up first. Reestablish the contact with the back wall. From here, draw out this back left leg so that it extends, just like in the back leg of Trikonasana. And then begin to sink from that hip, the hip girdle, as it's referred to sometimes. Come down towards the floor at 90 degrees, but the torso is billowing up. The armpit chest is coming out of the side of your body. So there's an extension in the torso as well as that back leg. And there's a challenge to the balance here and to the breath. Then to come out, straighten that leg to where it's almost straight. And then hop the foot back to the first position. And we'll give that a go here at the first one. So give yourself enough space. Come close to the wall. Feel the fingertips against the wall. Then bring the heels up against the baseboard. You're going to need to slightly bend to come forward, to bend the legs, and then jump the right leg forward. Just really hop out. Give yourself that sense of forward motion, and then retreat the hands to the hips, the iliums. Reestablish the back heel on the baseboard, and then sink the buttock slightly as you descend towards the 90 degree in the front right leg. But the torso is still lifted, so the resistance is in the hands on the hips. And you're billowing the chest and the armpits here. Find your balance, reestablish the back leg, and bring that left side towards the front of the room, towards the front leg. Extend. Then slightly straighten the right leg, and then hop the foot in and back to the beginning position. And by the beginning position, the heels are down for the moment. Yeah? Now there's the right side. Again, these things are done in sequence with one side and then the other. Try and keep that rhythm that you have now established in the first side. Bring the heels up the wall. Coming slightly away from the wall with the fingertips, bend the legs, and then hop the left foot far up as you can go. Yeah? Reestablish the back heel into the baseboard. Now it's the opposite side that you've come to here, and sometimes the differences are quite dramatic. So feel where you can use the buttock now on the back right leg, and extend away from that wall, bringing the pelvis forward. Cut that back leg buttock. Scrape the tailbone in to move forward and descend into the 90 degree of the front leg. Keep the billowing of the chest. Use the hands to lengthen the torso and to soften the abdomen. So you're leaving your back to come forward here. That's the motion, or the direction and dynamic. Then slightly straighten that left front leg, and then hop back in. Good. So we're going to do this one more time for each side, but we're going to add a dimension to it. So when we work constructively, we start with the foundation, we build up. So the legs were the foundation here, and that contact with the wall gave you a sense of direction. This time, as you come forward, in the same starting fashion, you're going to jump away from the wall and bring that right leg forward. You're going to bring the hands to the waist, and you're going to find that sense of balance and a polarity that is your center, that is your balance here. From there, as you descend, finding the back leg straightness, bringing that hip around, release the hands out. And then eventually we'll be able to bring the hands up. But see how it works this time? And then to come out It's simply going back to this position and hopping the foot backward. The legs have a great deal of springiness to them. So capitalize on that. See where your range is and extend to that range. So come up the wall with the heels, bend the knees, and hop the right leg forward. Reestablish that back leg. Then descending and straightening that back leg as you descend. Challenge your hips to bring them as if there was a levelization, or a bar that came through and there were an axle that you were driving on. Then balance on that axle. Bring the hands out to the sides. And the warrior, he comes to battle, he brings his arm up. Extend the arms up. Keep the intelligence in the feet as you extend and build the sides of the waist up. Reach the fingers to the ceiling. Bring the arms back. And equalize the distance between the arm and the ear here. So it's that uprightness of the tree pose again. Right? Bring the hands back down to the hips and hop the foot back to the wall. There's a new length. You've set that length now. Bring it to the other side here. Bring the heels up the wall. Fingertips. And this time, jump. Hop that left leg up. Extend. Reestablish through the back heel. Bring that back leg around to the front and sink into the 90 degree of the left leg. Use the drive of the wall and that resistance as a dynamic to pull the pelvis around and to levelize through there. Pull that kneecap taut. Bring it up. Bring it up. Bring the kneecap taut. And that goes for each one of us. We need to drive that kneecap from the base, bring it up to the thigh, to straighten the leg, bring the hands to the sides, and build the chest as you build the side of your body, and bring the arms up. The warrior. Soften the abdomen and come back more over that levelization. Steady yourself. And slowly bring the hands back to the waist, back to the hips. Hop, jump, come back to the wall. Stand Samastiti with the feet, the width of the hips. Bringing yourself back into that neutral position. We're doing Samastitis with the feet a little bit wider. So there's a tremendous energy that you build in these dynamic standing poses. And it's good to steady yourself when you come out to regain that sensitivity. And this next pose will help you a little bit with bringing down some of that dynamic into more of an ease. So if you'll come away from the wall and watch from the top of your mat. So this pose is called Utkatasana. Ut is in intensity, and it's usually driven at the side body extending. Utkatasana has a couple of definitions or translations. One is chair pose, as we know it, but it's also fierce and ugly. The variation we're going to do is the chair variation here, in that we're going to get a sense of where the wall was, as you did with the fingertips. Come about 1.5 feet to a foot, depending on your leg length, and then sit into the wall. Try and come down to where the chair that you sit on or would sit on might be. And the feet are the width of your hips again, so Samastiti. And then your hands will be around the pelvis, or the heads of the pelvis here. Bring one shoulder in closer to that midline, walk it in, so I'm tucking it into the wall. And then I'm tucking the opposite shoulder in as well. from here, there should be a releasing of the abdomen. Now there's the weight of the buttocks. Let the buttock bones descend. So I'm bringing my buttock off just to let it to release any tension that builds up there. And then you can, if it's difficult now to come up, you can use the ropes and then come out of the pose. So you might want to set up so that you're like this mat generally will work for you, and that the ropes are close by. And I think there's a set of ropes here you can use. Art. Are you going to work? Yeah, maybe. Okay. Are you okay with that set of ropes? Okay, so stand with the feet hips width apart. Come out, measuring, as I was getting at the beginning of the class, kind of your leg length, the distance that you need. So 1.5 to a foot, depending on where you would sit back on the wall. Then sit back towards the wall using the fingertips. Find the buttocks. Find the buttocks against the wall. Now, take that right shoulder and that blade, this is the shoulder blade into the midline. So you're both descending and rolling the top shoulder to the bottom shoulder and bringing that shoulder blade into the middle body. And then judge for yourself, was that enough? Can I get a little more by using that left hand and combing over the flesh on the top of the shoulder? And then do the opposite side, just as you did, keeping the action or the tuck on that first right side. Bring that shoulder blade down. Allow the pelvis now with the hands here to be heavy and descend the buttock bones to the floor. Let the buttock bones just drop, like the base of the spine had its own weight tied to the floor, descend. Now, the skin will have bunched up against the wall, so slightly bring the buttocks away as you press the shoulder blades and let that flesh get heavy. See how far you can let yourself descend into the chair. Then bring the hands back to the waist, slightly lean away from the wall. Fingertips can guide you as you come up, or you can use the rope if you need that. And stand in Samastiti. So, we sort of did a very mild and relaxed, if you just come out here for a moment, progression or a beginning to this progression. So the second time here, I'm coming into the pose the same way. I'm finding my safety here in terms of where I can go. Hands to the hips. Descend the buttocks. Keep shoulder blades in. And then this time, use the hands and press the torso forward, billowing again, just as you did in Virabhadrasana 1. Then bring the hands down to the side, lift up, and come off of the wall. Stand up. Hands to the sides. So, yes, you know the pose, and it's very easy to just go from that sort of lazy, okay, I've done this one time, but try and bring some energy into the feet. Try and get a sense of, okay, I can do better this time. It's progressive, right? So get your hands behind you, come down carefully to where you're seated in the pose. Blade both shoulders towards the midline. And you'll notice the feet are pushing you, so there's sort of a natural traction on the back of the neck. Then let the heaviness of the buttock bones descend as you pull the buttocks away for a moment. Bring it back to the wall. Bring that buttock to the back to the wall. Then bring the hands out to the sides and move the arms up. Lift yourself up and away from the pose, maintaining some of the seat. Maintaining some of the seat. Come up off the wall and forward. And then stand up and release the arms. You're going to use your mat here in the middle of the room again. And, well, actually, you know what? We'll do without, but you're going to need both your blocks. So just imagine the mat is where it was, so that you're in the same order of Art was here first, Janardhan, and Todd. And the blocks will be a measure of your shoulders. So place the blocks forward of you from standing, yeah, and some distance out, because as I'll demonstrate here, obviously, it would make sense. So it's pretty straightforward that if I drop the block kind of like a pendulum by their natural weight, that's the dimension that I need for width. But then I have to also step back from those blocks in the setup. And from this wide leg samastiti position, they're going to bring the feet to touch the insides here. And then from here, from the standing position, I'm going to bring the hands to the waist. I'm going to scrape the back buttock down and bring the inner leg up, so that there's sort of a prehensile scraping in of the tailbone, like it was a hand I could grab to bring that tailbone in. From here, with the width of the back body and the lifting of the front spine, so I'm trying to bring the back of the spine in, back ribs to the front, back ribs moving to the front ribs. It's a very symmetrical pose, so there's that uprightness that I'm seeking again. From here, bring the hands, and just watch. Let me go through the evolutions of the pose. The hands will descend to the block. And then again, I'll describe that action of scraping the back of the legs and bringing the tailbone in. And you'll see that there's a bit of a roundness that I want to get rid of in the back. It's actually that I'm lifting this top buttocks like it's a shelf here. Yeah? So I'm lifting the back buttocks, top back buttocks. Come up, please. So it requires something of me to intelligize that action, in that I have to press the feet more and scrape that back leg more so it spreads. The kneecaps are smart, intelligent, lifting into the thighs. As I extend the torso, then you're going to take the hands somewhat forward on the block here, and it's as if you were going to pick the blocks up. Pick the blocks up. Good. Great. So start from feet together. Hands on the hips. Scrape the back of the legs. Bring that prehensile of the tailbone in with the buttocks. The tailbone is the base of the spine, and it fits in between the right and left. Keep drawing it in there. Keep drawing in there. Then release the hands out. Coming forward, find your hands on the block, on the top of the block. Now establish the strength in the legs by pulling the kneecap to the thigh. Sometimes you have to be nice to the knees. Bring the kneecap up. Try and narrow the legs to bring straightness into the legs. And then again, scrape the back of the legs and reestablish the foundation by pushing into the feet. Not so much that you roll the ankle or collapse that inner arch of the foot. Inner arch of the foot should stay lifted, just as the inner leg should stay lifted and that tailbone. Keep watching towards me. Keep the face in this direction so that there's a length on the spine, and the front spine is extending towards the front of the room. The front spine is extending towards the front. Gennard, can you look up a bit? Yeah, bring your head up. Bring your head up. Yeah, good. Keep looking for that shelf now as you bring the top buttock into the lower back. There's an extension too. You're pulling yourself with your palms as you bring the hands over onto the front of the block. Yeah, as if you were going to pick the block up. Get that sense of the blocks are stuck as part of the floor and begin to pull on the blocks. Pull on the sides of your waist to lengthen out that torso. And then look up, inhale. Inhale the front of the spine as you come up. Keep the shoulder blades as they were on the wall, that tattooing, that imprint on the shoulder blades, lifting the chest forward. And then one more time, scrape the back of the legs, bring that tailbone into the front, inner legs lifted, inner arches lifted, extend and come out over your shelf. Keep the head face forward so that there's length on the front spine. And the back spine is coming into the body. Back ribs to the front. A little softness in the abdomen and a spreading feeling as you pull up the inner legs to straighten those legs. To straighten those legs. Then just as you did, trying to pull the blocks up out of the floor, bring the hands on the front. And bring those blocks to the sides of your feet now. And flatten them to the floor. Flatten them to the floor. Bring them in the direction of your feet. Gennard, please. And it may be that you need one more height, so you can turn them up if that's needed, or you can maintain the height on the blocks that you have if that's working for you. And then let the head descend. Keep the width of the shoulders, let the head grow heavy. Let that blood flow in and cool your mind. Cool your body. Let go of the work and the sense of the beginning of the class and go into that feeling sensation of cooling down. There's a communication here that happens in the chest, where the breath meets the heart. Quiet your visual acuity. Go back in that mind and allow that auditory to come forward. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Inhale, lift the spine long. Bring the head up as you lift yourself out of the pose. The blocks are no longer necessary. You'll need your mats just as they came off of the shelf in that same shape. You'll each need 2 blankets, a chair, and we have a small group here, so we can kind of be spread out a little bit as long as you're in this circle. And yeah, if you face the back of the chair, or what's the back of the chair towards the street this time, be far enough away from the wall that you have a full body. The mat will go on the chair seat I'll help you join here to begin with. So just, I'll demonstrate the setup. So the mat goes on the chair, so like so. Then you unfold the blanket one time and place that on top of the mat. And try and keep any creases, out of the blanket as you set things up tightly. Yeah. And the setup of the mat and blanket should come a little bit over the nose of the front edge of the chair seat. The second blanket, you're going to need a bolster also. So the bolster will go in front and slightly on the chair legs itself. And then unfold your blanket so that it fits the width of the bolster and drapes over onto the floor. Okay, all right, grab the two blankets, yeah? So one you'll unfold and place on the chair seat, and the other drape that so that there's enough on the floor to pad yourself as you go down into, this is Salamba Sarvangasana. It's translated typically as shoulder stand with support, but it's also supporting of the weight of the body. As this is a very common inversion. Inverted pose being, upside down. So the feet hang over the backrest of the chair to begin with. And again, I'm using the hands against the backrest. This is almost like their hips now, We use the hands on the hips so much to lift the chest, to build the chest. I want to keep that length as I go back, descend the hands to where you have the leverage. Keep the length on the torso. And descend the shoulders onto the bolster. So my length is not ideal for this. There is one long chair, but I'm demonstrating on this chair right now. So I have to adjust the bolster. And just as you adjusted your shoulder blades on the wall, as we stood over the wall, I have to blade in here. I have to tuck the top of the shoulder flesh underneath on both sides. And I also want to see where the cut of the front edge of this chair, the hard edge, comes across the top of the sacrum, which is a plate at the base of the spine and at the top of the pelvis, the S1 joint. I want that to be supported slightly off the end of the chair here. Then bring one leg up, extend that foot, keep extending that foot, and there's a new view here. You haven't seen your foot like this before, so be artistic and see what you can shape the length of that big toe as you extend that leg. And bring that heel back down to the backrest. And extend the left leg. Same thing. Bring both feet down. Right leg up, left leg up. Bring your right arm in underneath the chair. Grab the back chair leg here. And pull the shoulders into the body. And drive your hands against the back legs here. To come out, place your feet on the chair seat itself, undo the arms away, and simply slide the pelvis off without disturbing the body too much. And then come down where the pelvis is rested here. And you can roll out to the side. Come on. So go ahead and have a seat on the chair seat. Bring that right calf over the backrest. And then the left. And find the leverage that suits you to keep that torso long. So you're pulling down the backrest to lift the torso, to lift the front spine. and to lever yourself back over the chair. Yeah, if you need to put the hands down, that's also an option. You're going to come down and you're going to feel where that bolster is. Okay. You're going to need to adjust that bolster so that it sits underneath the shoulders. Now, okay. Alright. That chair has a bar on the front, so you're going to have a little bit of a challenge, but I think you can still reach inside of it. So bring that right arm. Okay. It's possible to overslide, so bring that right arm inside the chair leg. And then the left arm as well. Now the right side, blade that shoulder blade. And bring that right shoulder flesh more onto the bolster. More onto the bolster. Use the resistance of the back leg to pull that shoulder cup and cup onto the bolster. Then on the left side, bring that shoulder blade, that shoulder cup onto the bolster as well. So that there's an evenness of the body. That's also the Salamba, is the evenness of the weight supported on the bolster. Now keep the head straight. We're all keeping the head and neck in position here. Then bring the pelvis by using the feet against the backrest. Right? Bring the feet to the backrest. Yeah. Get a sense of where that sacrum, that S1 joint at the top of the pelvis is. Now extend that right leg up. Gaze at your big toe ball joint. Extend that. And the inner leg is extended. The outer leg is working. The little toe edge of the foot. All these in conjunction. Then bring that foot back down onto the backrest. Extend the left leg up. Establish those actions of the inner leg to the big toe, and the outer leg to the little toe. The four corners of the foot should all be spread. Extend the leg. And bring that left foot down. Bring the right foot up, straighten that leg. Bring the left foot up and straighten that leg as well. Reestablish the strength of the arms and the turning of the arm from inside out, that bicep. So it isn't just a strength in the hands, it's the shoulder action. It's the turning of the arm in the socket. And the allowing of the release of the neck. The back of the legs should spread, and the lift should also be there. So there's a lift in the back of the leg. And a quiet about the mind. It's the body that rules here. And the feet upright. Then bring the legs straight back without bending them. Release the arms out of the chair. Todd, you're going to have to be a little bit careful and slide back out so that you don't bump anything there. Use the hands to push yourself off the chair. Try not to push the chair away, but slide back. Oh, bring the chair back a little bit so you're back. Push the bolster away. There you go. And then roll out to the side. Come up slowly, don't be in any kind of rush. And thank you again. I can't say how much I appreciate this.
That was great.
Last minute.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
My first time in our yoga class.
Yeah. Well, hopefully not just one.
Hopefully you're looking forward to
That wouldn't be a very good endorsement for me.
Yeah.
The talk's got a beginner series coming up here.
Okay.
If you're interested at all, or know people.
Okay.
At the beginning of May. What is it, the 8th time?
This Sunday